Hello, everybody, and welcome back to season 2 of The Cabinet. I know it's been quite some time. It has been a year. I'm finally back, and if you don't know what we do here, this is a variety podcast where we talk about a number of different things. Typically, we stay on the topics of streaming, mental health, and movies, with a couple little things here and there as well. I am joined every single week by one of my stream friends that I've met through Twitch and through Twitter, and we talk about a bunch of different things. Last season we had 8 episodes, and this time we're gonna just double that because why not? I think we need more. I honestly wasn't prepared for anybody to actually listen, and then seeing tweets about how it was relatable and they're glad they listened to it made me really want to make this next season. And then all my friends that were guests on the last season really enjoyed it as well because it was an outlet for them. And it's also one of those things of when they see comments on things that they've said and people are like, oh, I feel that same way. It's a nice thing to not feel as alone when you see that. So I think that it really benefited both sides, which I was really happy about. Last season, I decided to end it with just me talking to everybody here. I think it was more of like a get to know the host kind of thing. And I decided I would do that same thing starting the season as well as ending it. So the first and last episode of this season is going to be just me. Yay! And as you know, if you follow me on Twitter or if you listened to last season, I am big on opening up about mental health stuff and just talking about things that I guess I've gone through, because I've seen a lot of times when I make these tweets and when I talk about things that it makes people feel less alone. And that is, as much as it's a sad feeling to know that people relate to that because you never want them to go through the pain you go through, it is somewhat comforting to see that it's not just you. And that's kind of why I wanted to do these more personal episodes of me talking, because I have this random account on TikTok where they upload a bunch of little deep talk questions. I don't look at them ahead of time. Everything is just raw, and I just read whatever comes up, answer how I want to answer it, and that's what we're going to do as well today, because I think it went good last time instead of me just rambling on about stuff and forgetting what I was talking about. So instead, we're going to do that exact same thing, and I'm a little nervous because it has been a year, and the last time I recorded for these episodes was before basically my life just kind of fell apart. It was in the process of falling apart, and then it felt like it was being held by something, and then that something dropped and pushed me under. So we got a lot to catch up on here. And again, I have not read any of these questions ahead of time. They are completely random. Everything I'm saying is completely raw, nothing else to it. So let's here we go. First question is, if you could change one decision you made in your life, what would it be, and how would it have altered your path? I always think that's such an interesting question when I hear something about what you would change about your life and decisions that you've made, because a lot of people say, no, don't change anything because that's what made you who you are, and that's what got you to where you are, which is 100% true. As terrible as it sounds, I would not be the way I am if I haven't gone through everything I went through. I would not be able to talk to people about stuff the way that I do and be, I guess, as understanding if I haven't gone through things that I've gone through. The thing is that everybody reacts to situations completely different, which is so fine, but it's something that I feel like a lot of people have to understand, that even if I've gone through something and you hear that I've reacted a certain way and you haven't reacted that way, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with it. It's just everybody reacts to things differently. I just wanted to put that out there too, because I just don't want people to think that if they didn't make that decision, then they made the wrong decision. And that's not how it is at all. Here's the thing, is that I agree I would not be who I am. And it's hard when you don't. It's not that, okay, I've come to a point in my life where it's not that it's so hard. I don't want to say I don't like myself, because it is hard to look at you and like you, especially when you've been told so many times not to, and have been told every reason why you shouldn't. And I know it's hard to not let things get to you. When you hear them a certain amount of time, though, of course they're going to get to you, and that's completely fine. But I think being content with some of the qualities you know that are good, to know that you're a good person, that's kind of what matters a bit more. So, as much as those things have made me who I am, I would say there are a couple things I think I could have lived without going through. There are certain things in my first relationship that I do not think, if they didn't happen, yes, I wouldn't have that topic to talk about and relate to people. But honestly, some things in that I think I would rather have lived without. And that's just the first thing that comes to my mind. I'm not going to go into specifics about some of that stuff. I don't really talk about my first relationship much. But that is definitely something that I would change. And I don't think it would have altered my path, which is why I'm choosing specifically that. Like, I'm not even just saying the whole relationship, because the whole relationship was horrendous. It was terrible. And I obviously wish I was never in it. But again, it's made me who I am. But there's part of that relationship that, I would change. I would absolutely take back in a heartbeat, and it would have changed nothing in my life besides the fact that, like, I am so scarred from it. And that's probably about it. The next question is, what is the one thing that you've always wanted to do, but have been too afraid to try? Currently, I think my biggest thing is just getting on a plane and going somewhere for a while. Or even getting in my car and going somewhere for a while. Because it's something I've wanted to do, to just, like, escape for a minute. I feel very, 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 very behind in my life. I'm at a point at the moment where, yes, I am doing things. I am constantly creating things and getting things done and helping people. But there are certain things like a full-time job and getting somewhere up in a company or something like that. I feel like that's where I should be at the moment, and I'm not there. So I think that time away would be nice, because I'm kind of stuck in this house with my family, who is very toxic, and it is just draining, and it makes me want to get out, but because I'm so stuck at the moment in my own brain and how everything has affected me the past year or so, it is very hard to get that motivation to do that. So I think, to me, the thought of, like, leaving for a bit is not that I think is going to fix me. I think it's just going to be nice to just experience a little bit of life by myself like that. But it's not even that I'm too afraid to try. It's also, you have to have certain kind of money. I would love to have a laptop as well, where I can just edit and do things. But it's been hard. It has been hard. And I am afraid to that. I've also never been on a plane before, fun fact. My family has driven everywhere because my mom does not fly. So that is another fear to add to that. But that is something I really, really would love to do. What's the one mistake you keep repeating, and why do you think you can't break the cycle? That's very fitting for my current situation, I guess. This is recorded back in beginning of April, so maybe my situation has changed. We'll see by the last episode how much everything has changed. But the one mistake that I keep making, and this is gonna sound cheesy, some people might hear it and be like, oh my god, roll their eyes. And some people might be like, I understand that completely. But I care too much. And this sounds kind of terrible, but over the years, I've kind of lost that intense care for my friends. And I still care about them, of course. But the way I used to care, I mean, like, drop a second somebody needs something, my problems don't exist anymore. I could be bawling my eyes out. They need me, I drop everything, and I'm there. Unfortunately, my friends that I've had throughout my life have sucked that quality out of me, which, it's weird. I hate that they did that, because I know how much I care about people, and the fact that they got to take that with them when they left hurts. But at the same time, should I be sacrificing my own stuff for other people? In my head, I'm like, yeah, because those people are more important. But at a certain point, it's hard to know that balance between caring too much. And As somebody who cares a lot, I don't think it's bad to care too much, but people have taken advantage of it so many times, and it is just so hard to get back to it because now you're afraid for your life. So this mistake that I keep repeating, specifically when it comes to like relationships, I think I care too much. It's always like when I care about somebody like that, I care a lot. And it's a different kind of care than it is between like friends. To me, I don't know what it is. It is just completely different. It is the one person I can give my all to, who will see all of me, which makes it a bit harder because now you have to let yourself in and let yourself down completely to this person. So when I feel myself, let's say, just liking somebody, it is scary to me because it's like I know how I am. I know how I'll get. I will prioritize you. I will want to talk to you. I will want to be there for you all the time. I want to check up on you all the time. And I don't think it's a bad thing, but it is a scary thing because, for one, you don't want to let yourself get to a point of where now this person has like you in their hands and now they have the power to break you, basically. That's what I'm afraid of. So I guess this cycle that I can't break is when I get to liking somebody, I tend to get overly excited, I guess is a way to describe it, and I end up caring too much, but then my brain starts conflicting with the care and it's yelling at me to not care that much because you don't want to get hurt, and that's something that has never been able to be broken in my head, and I don't know why. It's funny though, I did really think that I lost the amount of care that I had after what I went through last year when it comes to relationships and friendships. Friendships, I've luckily been able to regain it through these amazing people that I've met who have been, I can't even tell you how great these people have been. It's like I always describe what they've done. Like I have this meter, and last year it was empty. Completely empty, and then somebody broke it at the end. And now, not only do I have a broken meter because it's like, oh, imagine it filling back up, it's just going to pour out because it's broken. These people, while that meter was trying to completely shatter, were holding onto it for dear life. When I tell you I've never, ever, ever in my life had people even care 1% of what these people I've met here have done, I wish I were kidding, but I have never seen this in my life. They held on to that for dear life, so I did not shatter. And I will never be able to thank them enough for that. But now I'm at a point where the meter has been patched up, and we're trying to fill that back up again. But now we're scared because it is broken. It's still broken. It's just patched up. So now it's kind of that fear of letting yourself go like that and letting yourself care like that again, and then it just breaking and shattering. I don't know, that's the best way I can describe it. It's always kind of how I describe it with like this meter, but it's a tiring cycle. I would love to love. I would love to just care, but I care too much to the point where it will hurt me. So it's hard to find that balance. If you could change one thing about the way you express love, what would it be and why? I'm interesting, I guess, when it comes to love. I've had very different feelings in different relationships, so I've gotten to see numerous different sides to myself when I'm in love, I guess. My first relationship, I think it was what I thought love was. And what I thought love was probably not a good thing because I grew up with parents who were not in love. They were not in like either. They did not like each other. And it was very obvious because it was the constant yelling and the hatred towards each other, very verbally aggressive between the two of them. So that's what I saw. That's what I was shown. So my first relationship, unfortunately, they do say to like women that you typically date someone who's similar to your father because it's just what you've seen. And I hate to admit it, but my first ex was very much like him. And that's why I think I loved him from what I knew love was at the time. But what I know love as now, I can tell that I did not love him. If that makes any sense. Because I feel like you love people differently, and as you grow older, you understand love a bit different. And then once you get out of those relationships, you can like look back at everything. My second relationship, I do think I was in love, but I don't think I was at the potential I have to love. Like, the highest potential I have to love. I think I absolutely cared. I was with him for 3.5 years. Very draining relationship where I tried to hold on to it for dear life because I understood he had a hard childhood and I wanted to understand him and help him and all that stuff. Ended up draining me and sucking the life out of me. But I do think it was a version of love. And then I met another person where I look back at it now, and at the time it felt like so much love. Like, it was like, oh my god, I've never felt this love in my entire life. And I look back at it sometimes and I'm like, I literally think he just treated me so much better than I've ever been treated before that I fell for that so much. I did love him, because also you could tell how much it hurt me when he did what he did, but I do think I was in a type of love, but that love was more of like infatuation or I don't want to say lust because it was more than lust, but that affected it though when going from two very, very, very toxic relationships where I felt like I was never cared about to a person who every day reminded me how amazing I was. Yes, it ended up not really being true, but in the moment, it was nice to feel like that for once. It was nice to ever feel chosen. First time in my life where I felt like somebody was choosing me and wanting me. So I think that's what I was in love with more than I was with him. So now I'm at a point in my life where it's like, I cannot let myself do that again. If I am going to love someone, if I am going to like someone, it's going to be, here's how I want it to be. Someone asks me about them and says, explain them to me. I want to be able to explain how amazing of a person they are. I don't want to be able to explain what they've said and what they've done to make me happy. Like, yes, those are great things. I want to explain them for being just such a beautiful person. And I also want this person to actually want me. I want to believe that they want me, and I want to know that it's real. And that's all I'm accepting this time around. I cannot do that to myself again. I cannot do these things I've done before. I just realized I didn't fully answer the question, but I got into like some other thing. That's okay. But the question being what I would change about how I express love. I do think that how I express love, there's not much I would really change because I'm not a super overly loving person. I am, like, I overly love them, but I don't show it as much. I'm a big, like, thought about you type of thing, got you this, or, like, there for you, and I'm not a big, like, nicknames person and, like, little cheesy things, so I think in that regards, maybe I'd wish I was a little more cheesy, which kind of sounds weird, but, like, I do. And I think that part of it comes with, like, again, how I've seen my parents before, and I don't have that, like, craving for that cutesiness because I've never seen it before. So it's something of, like, at this point, I'll take bare minimum, which is bad. But, like, this is kind of how my brain has been for a while. And that's why, like, and that's why talking about what I've gone through and how the love has changed throughout kind of affects this question, I guess, because it's what I want now, and now what I want, I think it's going to be different. And I think the way that I express love and how I accept love is going to be completely different this time around, and I freaking hope so. If you can change one thing about the way you handle stress, what would it be and why? That is such a difficult question because there are so many things I wish didn't happen when I was stressed and when I was anxious, but there are things that I cannot control. I mean, I could at a certain point. I've mentioned this before. It takes me a bit to mention it, but I remember when I said it last time, I had people telling me that they had the exact same thing, and it made them feel comforted that somebody has the same thing. And it almost made me feel the same way as well. I'm like, oh, I'm not just some weirdo. Okay. But I get these anxiety tics, I guess is what I would call them, where I can feel it through my body. It'll literally come up my spine, and my arm, it's always my right. I can't remember. There's a specific reason for it too. I think it's what the left side of your brain controls the right side of your arm. So whatever. But I get these tics where my arm will, it sounds really weird, but my arm kind of like jolts, and it does like either like the whip. I do like a little hang loose sign, like a bunch of I don't know. It's really odd. It's out of nowhere. When I'm super anxious, a lot of it comes out of my neck. I used to have a lot of neck issues. I still do, because I would strain my neck and it would like jolt forward. Happens a lot in my face as well, which people don't notice because it kind of looks like I'm just blinking weird. But that's something I cannot change, and I wish that I could. Trust me, I wish. But when it comes to handling stress, I don't handle it very well. I try to, but when you have stress and you have overthinking and you have trauma and you have like all of that added together, makes your brain go insane. And as much as I could be understanding of what's going on in my brain and what's going wrong and what I should and shouldn't think, very self-aware of a person, but it's hard to handle sometimes because there's a part in your brain that is overtaking anything, any logical thinking that you have. And I just want to express this to everybody too. That is okay. I am so tired of people telling me that like, oh, just think this. And I'm like, no, yes, I would love to. That is fantastic. And I am very self-aware that I shouldn't be thinking this thing because it's incorrect. But you have to understand that there is a part of the brain that is taking control over that. I literally, and it's all about handling it, obviously, which is what we're talking about. It's all about controlling that. But it is hard to control that. And when things keep getting added to your life to add more stress and more anxiety and more trauma, I mean, it's going to get out of control, and there's only so much that you can do, and that takes so much time. It takes so much time to control that part of your brain, and that's something I wish people understood. And I know so many people who go through it understand that as well, because you know, when you're overthinking, you know you're overthinking. Sometimes you question whether or not you're overthinking, but when you are, a lot of the times people are self-aware that they are overthinking and that the situation's not this and it's not that, but you're telling yourself these things because that part of your brain is like, it's going into this like, not fight or flight, because it's not even a fight or flight. It's like, it depends on the situation, of course, but your brain is almost fighting itself, which sounds odd, but that's basically what it's doing. Is you have this side of your brain that knows what's going on, and you have this side of your brain that is like, too bad, don't care. Here's what we're doing, here's what we're thinking, here's what we're saying, here's what our trauma has told us. And that's what I mean by like that fight or flight, because it's not a fight or flight. Your overthinking sometimes is, though. It makes you think whether or not what you should do. But it does fight your own brain sometimes, which is so obnoxious because a lot of times very hard to control. So it's hard to say what I wish I could handle about stress. I wish I could handle stress in that type of way where like I wish my logical thinking can overpower the overthinking, because I know I'm self-aware, I understand, but cannot help it, and I wish I could. The next question is a heavy hitter for me. What got you through your last heartbreak? My last situation, it was a tricky one. It was one that I think affected me so much more because I was at a point before I met this person where I was ready to just kind of give up on things. I wanted to lay in my bed. I wanted to rot away. I wanted to talk to nobody. I was done. And they came into my life shortly after and saw, I guess, like a beauty in me, even though I was the way I was. And I explained everything, and I said, like, this is where I am, this is what I have to offer, this is what I have to give, I don't want to jump into anything, please. And he was so convincing. he made me feel special, made me feel like I was understood, made me feel like the bad things about myself were okay. And he was building me up in ways I didn't know I could be. And it was literally because I was finally in my life being told that I was enough. As sad as that sounds, the only reason that that boy got in the way he did was because he said nice things I've never been told in my life. By the end of it, I've talked about this on my last season, it turns out he did not mean those things. Even if he thinks he did in his head, he did not mean them. He hurt me in a very bad way, a way I didn't think that somebody would do, especially him. Like, it just felt like he wanted these walls down so bad, right? He did everything in his power to break down these walls, because he knew how high they were, he knew how thick they were, he knew all of these things, and he wanted to bust them down. And he was getting there. He was chipping away at that first wall, and he got me to a point where, like, he was in love first, and I felt it, but I wanted to wait because I was kind of scared of that whole thing. And it was a different situation. It was an online thing that I never knew I would ever be involved in, but it just felt different. And when I was with him, we were, like, together for, like, a week. We were hanging out and stuff, and that was after a couple months of knowing him. And then he basically went back. We went, or whatever. We were dating. We were together. I finally was like, okay, I love you too. And a couple weeks later, he took that out from underneath me, and watched me fall into the hole that was sitting underneath that rug that he pulled from under me. It felt like a trap. The fact that before him, I was where I was, and then finally thinking that there was somebody in my life who thought about me the way that he did, to only find out he did not think that, it put me in a bad place. Very bad place. So this question's a hard one, because what got me through my last heartbreak, it wasn't even just heartbreak from the relationship. It was everything before that. It was a heartbreak from the other relationship that I didn't get to fully heal from. It was heartbreak from losing all of my friends, watching myself finally say, hey guys, like, I'm not doing okay. I've always put my problems aside for everybody else's. And the first time I said I couldn't, and they all said, like, basically that they didn't care. And I got completely left by everybody. Like, I meant nothing, even after I talked to them about stuff. So it was going through all of that on top of the heartbreak. The heartbreak was just like cutting that last straw and then throwing me under into the bottom. So I guess what got me through all of that was my friends that I've met here. Like I was mentioning before about that meter. That meter was broken, pouring out. I had nothing left. And these people held together that glass and that meter that broke just so it didn't shatter. And because I couldn't hold on to it, I wanted to let it fall. When I tell you, I have never in my life felt like I was going more insane. I felt like I was going insane. I was literally losing my mind. I couldn't do anything. I tried so hard and nothing worked. But these people, no matter what, no matter how sad I was, no matter how bad the day was, they were like, we're going to keep holding on to this. And I've never had that before. So I was trying to accept it of like, okay, these are people that could really care. But I was so afraid to ever believe a person again, because he was the first person in my life I started to really start believing, because it felt different. And it's so stupid. It felt different because he was actually nice to me. Which shouldn't be the case. It should not be the case. Bare minimum should not make you look at them like a god. Just saying. It was a lot, and I know for a fact I would not be anywhere near where I am right now if it were not for those people. Never in my life did I ever think that I would have friends that cared, for one, let alone friends that care the way that they do. The way they care for me is the way I've cared for everybody my whole life, and started to lose that version of myself because I got tired, I got drained, and I got hurt from it. And I met these people who were giving me what I've always wanted back. At a time, too, where I couldn't even give anything, and there they were. And it was a journey. I mean, currently when this is recording, it is about 7 months later, a little over 7 months later, almost 8 at this point, to where that last, I guess, heartbreak happened and where I lost myself. That was back in the end of September of 2023. And just recently, I've started to feel better. And it's not 100%. I'm not going to change overnight. I'm not going to change in a week. Even though I am feeling better, there's still so many pieces that have to feel better. I also just want to stress this too, that like, things are going to take time. You want to rush them. I want to rush them so bad, of course. Why wouldn't you want to just get better? Why wouldn't you want to just be happy? But it's always going to take time. And even then, this is going to kind of sound harsh, but sometimes you don't get the things you want. Sometimes you really want something and it kills your soul that you cannot have that thing, and that it feels like it's not going to work out, and people say like, don't worry, like keep going for it. Yes, absolutely. If that is your goal, keep going for it. But just know that there are some things that are not meant for you in your life. And as much as it hurts because it's something you really want, if it was meant for you, you would have it. And for me, that's something that I have to get better with. I'm in a situation at the moment where I have finally found a liking towards somebody after almost 8 months, where I thought that part of me was gone, that care, because I felt that care less when I was with these friends. I felt that like my last friends drained the life out of me to the point where I couldn't care as much anymore. So I was very afraid that I didn't even have an interest in people for 8 months. Not even a slight one, not even a 1%. So I was like terrified that I lost that. So getting it back was a nice feeling, but it's terrifying. And people tell me, you know, go with the flow. If it's meant for you, it'll be for you. But I'm such not a go with the flow. I'm such a plan, and I want this and I want that, and I go for things. It's very hard to just go with the flow, but timing has a weird way of working itself out. And I'm telling you that from experience. Not everybody's timeline is going to be the same. Do not compare yourself to everybody else's timelines, because trust me, I do the exact same, but do not do that. And don't let people tell you that too. Parents have this thing where they like to tell you that your timeline has to line up to how their timeline was when they were younger, or like comparing you to a sibling and that your timeline has to work that exact same way. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna suck, because then you feel like a failure, because trust me, feel that as well. But do not let them tell you that, because everybody is a completely different person. Everybody experiences different things. Everybody has a different timeline set up for them. Just let people live. Why are there expectations for these things? I don't understand that. It frustrates me so much that there are these expectations for people that, like, at a certain age, you should be doing this. Some people get luckier than other people. Some people have better connections than other people. Some people can do, like, there are so many different reasons for why other people are able to do things that others are not. It's the same thing of, like, some people are born and they can just be perfect at drawing. Like, they can be a 3-year-old and they can draw a portrait better than I can do. Because some people are just born with certain things. And yes, I can sit there and I can learn and I can get better at being an artist or something. But that person's timeline is already different than mine, because they're a different person. They have different skills, they have different things about them, different personality traits, different childhood, everything. And you cannot compare me, because if that person, let's just say, somebody sees their work and they're like a prodigy at the age of 12 or something, their life can take off for them real quick. And that's okay, because my life isn't their life. It's just something that I'm very passionate, I guess, about, because I'm very tired of hearing that. in my family, I was always the kid that I was expected of things and was always expected to do things, be nice, be the one that makes money, do this, do that, have the husband, have the family, have the big house. That's what was expected of me my entire life. And because of what happened last year, and I basically took an entire year off of my life, I was now seen as this failure of somebody who isn't doing enough, who wasn't doing enough, who was compared to their sibling because their sibling, who dropped out of college 2 years earlier and got lucky with their job, is doing things now. Versus me, I didn't get lucky with nothing. I went to school for 4.5, almost 5 years. We're different people. We did different things. And I don't understand why there has to be a certain timeline for people. And when you think about it too, I'm 23 years old. That is not old. I've been alive for 23 years. Why do I have to have my life figured out now? That is insane. It's such an insane thing that people put into our heads. And it bothers me quite a lot. I know I got off topic, but it's something I really want to put out there because I know so many people deal with the exact same thing. But guys, everyone's timeline is different. Don't let people tell you shit. Tell them to go away. That's all I can say to you. And easier said than done, of course, but really, when you think about it, use that logical part of your brain that actually knows things. Not everybody is the same. So why the hell would your timelines be the same? It's simple. It's simple, but it's hard to think sometimes. I understand that completely. Let's move on to an actual question, though. Oof, what do you think about at 3 a.m.? What don't I think about at 3 a.m.? For those that don't know, I'm a huge night owl, even though it's technically morning, but my night doesn't end until like 6 a.m. When it's around that time, I am sitting there thinking about everything. Sometimes there are certain topics that are on my mind at the time, and I sit there and I dwell on them and think about what I should or shouldn't do. I tend to overthink situations. Sometimes I sit there and I think, should I have done this? Should I not have done this? I mean, what doesn't go through your head at 3 o'clock in the morning? I feel like that's the hour for us, like night owls. When you sit there in your bed, you're by yourself and it's silent, and all you have is your own thoughts. And that is a scary place. Let me tell you that. And it just makes you think of everything in your life and how you got the way you are. Like, everything runs through your mind at that time. Oh boy. I'm sorry. I saw the next question, and it's an interesting one. What text would you send right now if there weren't any consequences? A couple weeks ago, old me, even though it's only a few weeks ago, but old me would probably say I would tell that last ex everything he did. Everything he made me feel, and I would finally tell him off, because when he came back, and he did come back, he did it again, played with my feelings again for a bit, kept me on the sidelines for when he wanted, and I was there. Because what I do when I care, become an idiot sometimes. And I wish I could just go off at him. Me now could care less. Or couldn't care less. He's not worth it. He was not worth my time. I was not worth his. He is not worth mine. It is so much better sometimes to leave people like that rather than telling them as much as you want. I know you want to yell at them. I know you want to make them feel bad. And I know you wish you can hurt them like they've hurt you. But it's almost better, and you'll see eventually that it's better to not do that, because that will always kill them more. That will always hurt them more. They want reactions. When they get reactions, they know you care. Do not show that. They didn't care. Why would you show that you care? And that's kind of where I am with that. Like, that's what I would have said. I finally got to a point where I said, fuck that. No thank you. And now I literally don't care. I do not care. And if he messaged me, I would not care. You don't care? I don't care. Easy as that. But right now, probably a message that I would send if there weren't any consequences, if there was no hurt involved. I would probably tell somebody that I like them. And listening to this back in a couple weeks when I'm recording the last episode of the season, I guess we'll see what happens if there's any change in that. I'm going to be a little scared to re-listen to it, but that's probably right now, that's absolutely what I would do because I'm a pretty straightforward person. The hardest thing for me is love and relationships. That's kind of where I get a little scared. It's kind of where I get nervous. I'm always nervous, but I can speak my mind. It's not like I have to tell someone, hey, I'm in love with you. It's basically like, hey, like, I have an interest and would like to get to know you better. Because then that puts that out there of, like, I would like to have conversations with you. I'd like to have that time with you. So I guess that's kind of what I would send at the moment. If no hurt was involved. But hurt is involved. Potential hurt. So that will not be happening. What's something small on a first date that's a big deal to you? Wow, that's a hard question because I actually haven't been on, like, first dates. I was on one out of my 3 relationships. That was the only one where we went on a date and I asked him. And I don't know, like I think the biggest thing that I guess seems small is where somebody's like a little goof. Like, does that sound weird to say that they're a goof? But, like, you can see that they have a side to them that's, like, gentle, fun, playful kind of thing. When everything is so serious, that's something that throws me off a bit because I want to enjoy my time. And it's something that is so small. But I remember the thing that kind of sucked me into my one relationship, the one of, like, 3.5 years, was what we did on our first date. We went to eat. And then I guess he enjoyed the date, and he was like, hey, you want to come back to my place? And sometimes that's a scary thing. But we came back, and we played some Pokemon games, tried to teach me chess, and then we watched, like, oh my god, some, like, I don't know if everybody knows what this is. Sorry if you don't, it's going to sound weird, but YouTube Poop, the Scooby-Doo one, that's what we watched. And after that, that's what made me like him. I was like, this guy's just, like, a fun guy. And, like, we just had fun. And to me, that is such a big thing, and that is something that I will always look for. I know it, obviously, loyalty is a big thing. The biggest thing. But to be funny and have a sense of humor is my other... I can't do it if you don't. Like, I love that stuff. So that, I guess, is a small thing that is a big deal. I'm not huge on, like, the guy has to pay. I don't care if the guy pays. The one thing is, don't make me pay for the whole thing. If you're not gonna, I guess, pay for it, we will split. I'm always gonna offer to split it. I've seen so many videos of girls being like, no, I would never pay for a date. Or, like, they're like, oh, you wouldn't even reach for the bill? And they're like, no. I will always mean it and say it. Not like you sure you don't want me to pay? No, I would literally be like, no, like, here, let me pay. Let me split it with you. Because you're on a first date. You don't know if you want to go on another one. You don't know if you like them. I'd feel bad making them pay. I'm also kind of weird with money, where money makes me feel weird and people spend stuff on me and I freak out. So that's kind of part of it. But, like, I don't care about that. So on a first date, it's literally just like, I don't know. All I look for is funny and genuine. And, like, if you're interested, that's it. Like, I just want to have a fun time with somebody. And that's all that matters to me. That's literally why I was with that person for so long, is because that first date to me was like, oh my god, this guy's just like hanging out with him. He's like my best friend, because I always want a best friend in a relationship. So that's why I did what I did for that long. We're running into our last couple questions for this episode. It has been a bit of a heavy one, but not too bad, I guess. So we'll move on to our last couple questions. What's the most surprising way someone changed your life? So I always talk about these friends that I've met here and how much they've changed my life. All of them have. But the thing that sticks out to me the most is my one friend who was a guest on last season, and she will be here again, Miss K Zombies. She is my ride or die here for so long. She got me through my past couple relationships. She was the one telling me to get out of my 3.5 year, and she was really trying to help me with that. And I just met her too, and she was just so amazing. And I think the most surprising thing someone changed in my life was when we were talking and my heart felt that care back for the first time in my life. And it was weird. It sounds weird. I know it sounds weird. I literally felt it though. My heart was like, she cares. And I was like, whoa, what do you mean she cares? Like, huh? And that was the first time I truly felt like somebody actually meant what they said to me and that they cared about me. I know I said that about like the last guy that I was with, but like when it comes to friends, it was just a little spark in my heart. It wasn't like a thing that I constantly dwelled on, but it was a little spark in my heart, and it felt different, and it was nice to think that somebody actually meant it. She was the first person that really put me before herself, even though she should have put her before herself, and she was going through quite a lot of stuff. But that was the first person I was like, maybe they do care about me. Maybe they actually mean it. Maybe this is a person who means it this time. That was the start of like changing my life when it comes to caring and feeling like people care about me back. This is a rough question. Is there a part of yourself you're still trying to like? I don't know why, but that question made me very anxious. Yes, there are a lot of parts of myself I am trying to like. There are a lot of decisions, I guess, that I've made that I'm trying to accept. Here's something that I also want to express before I kind of get into this this conversation. It's okay to not be okay. And I know you've heard it before, I know you have, but God, I can't stress it enough that it is okay that you are not perfect in your own mind. It's okay if you still have some insecurities. It's okay that trauma has happened, and when things kind of are similar to it, you get a little spooked, like PTSD a little bit. That is okay. Yes, I want you to fix that. Yes, I want you to heal that. I wish you looked at yourself, thought you were beautiful, thought you were amazing. I wish you could look past all of your trauma and not let it hurt you. 100%. But it is okay if stuff affects you, stuff hurts you. It's fine. I can't stress enough when people say, oh, well, you were just kind of like upset. Like, you know, it was hard when you were upset. I know some people cannot deal with that. And if you cannot deal with that, get out before you hurt me. Because I don't need that. But I've noticed, I have friends who on the daily will say, not that I don't care, but they'll question it, you know? And I get that. I get that when I question if people care about me, it has nothing to do with the people. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it could be situational, but like for the most part, it's trust issues. And you just question whether or not people are real because no one ever has. No one has ever cared like that before. So yes, you're going to question it. If the percentage of people that have cared in your life and meant it is at like a 1%, why would I think when meeting people that they mean it? If it's that much of a difference, 99% of the people didn't actually mean it and 1% did. Why would I immediately believe people? Like I have no reason to. So yes, I'm going to be scared to trust them and believe them. And I have friends who always question it and they're like, I'm sorry. I'm like, you don't have to say sorry. I know it's not me. I know it's what you've been through, and that is okay. But I'm going to tell you every single day that I am here and that I care about you. You are going to hear it. If you tell me you think I don't care, well, I'm going to tell you that I do, and I'm going to tell you why. And there are so many people that cannot do that. And for me, it's like when I care about somebody, that type of thing doesn't drain me. It just makes me want to... I just want to hope that they will understand it at some point, because I know how hard it is to believe it. And it is okay to not feel like you can trust people. And, like, yes, you can work on it, and you should work on it, absolutely. But, like, stuff has happened, and stuff hurts people differently. Like, you're okay. It's just about the people who are accepting it and understanding of it. And if they're not, then tell them to go fuck off. But in regards to the question, part parts of me that I'm still trying to like. Yes, there are many. When it comes to physical, I know a lot of people get mad at me when I say this. I do not like the way I look. It's probably, I guess, my biggest insecure thing, because yes, I have qualities of myself personality-wise that kind of I don't love. But when it comes to physical, I am the harshest you could probably be on yourself. Because I don't like anything about myself physically, which is a really terrible thing to say. I understand, I know, trust me, but I've heard a lot of things in my life, felt certain ways a lot of times in my life, so it kind of just pushed me to that point to feel this way about myself. And I understand that that's something I guess I have to work on, but at the same time, it's not something I dwell on as much. Like, I don't dwell on how I look. It's just something, when I catch a glimpse of myself, I'm like, oh god. It's like one of those things. But personality-wise, the world has made me such an angry person. I grew up with a dad who's very, very angry, parents that were always yelling, a brother who became very angry, a family that constantly yells at each other, between my uncles, aunts, grandparents, everybody yells at each other. Came from an angry family, so yeah, I became angry. Worked on myself a lot when I was a young kid, because I didn't want to be like my dad. I've gotten to a point now where friends and relationships have made me angry again, and I get angrier. Luckily, the past month or so, I've slowly become less and less angry and fed up with things. It's been hard, but it's just surrounding yourself with the right people, really. It's getting rid of those ties to you that, even if it hurts to get rid of them, if they are dragging you down, if they are hurting you, you have to either back yourself up or let them go. And that's up to you to decide. But stuff is going to hurt, just so you know. But that's what was making me angry. We're having these people who treated me the way they did, talked to me the way they did. I mean, why would that ever make me feel good if it was negative? And of course, that's going to make me angry. So once I kind of got rid of that, it was sad. I was so depressed. But like, I'm at a point now where I'm almost like, thank God I'm not friends with these people anymore. They held me down so much. And the way they talked to me after I talked about things was terrible. It was horrible. And it made me an angry, angry person again. And I finally found people who do nothing but lift me up. That's really all there is to that, is you just need those kinds of people. And yes, they are hard to find, trust me. I didn't even think I would find them in my life. And you really just need at least one of those people in your life to make you feel like that. That's really all that matters, is just having that. So yeah, there are a lot of things that I am trying to like about myself. But there are a lot of things that people have broken out of me to not feel that I know that I have. And regaining that like about those things that I actually... Because I've had things I've liked about myself where I liked nothing. Like, no personality, no physical, and there was like 2 things I liked about myself. And people took it from me. And then I felt worthless. I felt like nothing. I felt terrible. And now I'm at a point where I've looked back at everything and I'm like, no, actually, no, I know who I am. And like, in that sense of like, I was told I wasn't like a determined person. And it was at a time where I was depressed. So like, yeah, I guess I wasn't, but to say it was my boyfriend at the time, I'm like, to say that to me and to know that was one thing I thought I had going for myself and you took that from me, it killed me. I'm like, yeah, well, now I don't have any determination, that's for sure. And yeah, I had less at the time, but like, why would you take that from someone? Why would you say that to somebody who has nothing going for themselves and they think, or who thinks they have nothing going for themselves and thinks one good thing and you take that from them? Why? And that's something that, yes, I understand now. I do not have as much determination as I did when I was younger. Absolutely. Well, a lot of stuff has happened since I was younger, and it has made my motivation for things just drop completely. But I know I have that in me. I know I am that person. I just lost that part of me a bit. And I just don't like that people got that power to take that away from me. The next question is, what's the most important thing you learned about love? I would say the most important thing I have learned is that you have to have an understanding with somebody. You could love them, you could love things about them and love spending time with them, but if you don't have that understanding, you cannot have a relationship like that. At least one that's like deep and meaningful. You have to be understanding. And that's something that I've never had, but I know that I've been to other people. So it's something that I know needs to be a thing. And now, like, coming to this point in my life where, like, yes, I want somebody, but I want somebody with these certain things. I'm done liking somebody because I like things about them, and I not convince myself to like them, but over time will like them more. I want to like somebody for everything about them. I want to like them for who they are alone, and who they are with me, and how they are with other people. Like, just I don't know how to explain it, but that understanding that I have with these friends that I have now, where it's like, I know you have hard days, and I know there's days where, like, we're gonna be off. I know there's days where maybe you're gonna be more mean, or where you're gonna be more sad, but, like, I love you, I care about you, I know who you are underneath all of that, and that's what matters. That's something that you need in love. 100%. Because I've been told in my one relationship, it was basically like, oh, I love you less on certain days. I never understood that. I'm like, what do you mean you love me less on certain days? Like, he'd be like, yeah, it was at like 60%. And to me, I'm like, you piss me off. You do things that I hate. You do things that are terrible to me. I don't love you less. I'm upset with you, yes, but my love for you doesn't decrease, because you are still you. You on that day piss me off, but you are still you, and I'm in love with you. Not things you do and say occasionally. I'm in love with you. And to me, I think that's like such an important thing. And it's something that I've realized I need in a relationship. And if you are not like that as well, I don't want it. And the last question of the episode is, what is a dream you've let go of? I've had a lot of dreams, I guess. There are minor ones of, like, you know, when you're younger and you think, oh, this is what I'm going to do when I grow up, and obviously you don't end up doing them. For a while, I really thought that I was going to be this, like, film writer and have this thing blow up, and I've always, my whole life has been creating content in videos and all of this stuff. I've always been doing, like, the creative things, and it's something that I really thought was going to happen. And not that I've let go of that dream, because I still do have this platform and it's absolutely amazing, but I've let go of the fact that, like, that's not something that maybe I can reach. I can get to a point of it, but I don't want to put as much pressure on it as I have before. And I think that's more of the dream I'm letting go of, is that it's just going to happen and I'm going to be happy. And it's just not how it's going to work. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And I don't want to put too much pressure on it. I did multiple times before because it's what I wanted so bad, but you can't force a dream like that. You can do things that get you to that point, but you can't force it like that. So I think that's kind of like a dream that I've let go of. As well as my goal in life completely is, I want a family. Want the husband, want the kids, want the whatever house it is, in like a nice little area. It's all I want in my life, and I want to be more than just stable so that I can provide certain things that the kids would want, because it's something I didn't have growing up. And that's really all I want in my life. That is my life goal. Not that I've let go of the dream, because it's what I want. It's all I want. But I've let go of, I guess, the dream that, like, here's what's gonna happen. Here is my plan. I mean, I expected to be engaged, married at like 26, 25. That's not happening. I'm gonna be 24, and I am single as hell. So, that's not happening. And I've let go of that dream of, like, this is how my life is going to be. This is how it's gonna go. This is the age that this is gonna happen, because you cannot plan these things. And I'm not letting go of my full dream because it's what I want so bad, but I'm letting go of what my dream plan was. Because I can't do that. I can't have a dream plan like that. It doesn't work like that. So, everybody, we're going to be wrapping up this episode, and I really appreciate you all for listening if you made it to the end. I know it was a lot, and I would love to hear what you guys have to say on Twitter or YouTube, wherever you would like to comment, wherever you would like to talk about things. Would love to respond to all of you, and I'm really happy with this first episode because I think I'm at a point now where I'm a lot less emotional than I was before. When I started this podcast, things were a lot harder to talk about, and now I'm at a point where I think I can talk about things a little more freely. So I'm excited for this season. I hope you guys are as well. Again, like last season, we're going to be uploading once a week, every single Wednesday on Spotify and YouTube. So on that note, I will catch you guys next week with our first guest. See you guys then.